let's just jump straight into July 2019, Virgo. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dadhichi. And you'll notice on the 3rd, a very, very important celestial event here in your 11th house. This is the total solar eclipse, which in a sense is an extension of what we were talking about last month, where we had Mars here in that direct opposition, and probably what's precipitated a lot of the warring news out of Iran. You know, ordinarily when we see Mars and Saturn in these adverse positions, it can be combative. It's frustrating in the very least. But to see this major eclipse here in this zone of friendship for you, I think is very, very telling, and shows us that, you know, when these eclipses take place, immense amounts of energy are released. So you have to deal with some of these things. It's got to do with friendship. It's got to do with elder siblings. It's also got to do with, and I think this may be more pertinent for the general mass of Virgos listening to me right now, that this has to do with your life goals. Now, perhaps you've been locked into something, an idea, an objective that you want. You've set your sights on something that you want to fulfill yourself in life. The eclipse may, in fact, completely demolish that. It may bring a realization that what it is you are hoping to achieve is possibly not what life or karma want. And you'll notice here that the eclipses are always in, well, the karmic points are always involved in the eclipses. And as well as that, you'll notice here, just keep your eye on Mercury, because Mercury is your ruling planet. So, as I've said on many occasions, it's not just one single celestial event that colors or shapes what's going to happen. It's a multitude of things. We see here on the 11th house itself, here this Mercury, your ruler, has just gone stationary around the 7th. And that's going to retrograde back over Mars, you see. So that's problematic for a start. That shows a very combative quality to your ruling planet. And when that transits back into this 11th house, you see here the Sun, which is the ruler of the 12th house of losses or your past, all being involved in what I would say is a complete review of this area of your life, your friendships, your siblings. Sorry, I've had a weepy eye. And so, and more importantly, as I said, the ideals that you've set for yourself. So I think this month, it may not all be happening this month, but I think the eclipse is going to release a lot of this inner sort of tension and cause you to reappraise many, many things. Here's the moon moving into your 5th house around the 16th, which next to Saturn is not a great thing. And have a look at the tension here as well. That's building up because Venus, which is predominantly one of your better planets here, is also a little bit stymied by its increasingly tight opposition to Saturn here. So again, friendships, but here love affairs, relationships. And for those of you who are parents, this 5th house has to do with really dealing with issues of children and your own creativity too. This is a classic combination which can cause blockages. You know, the moon, Pluto, South Node and Saturn, that can show that you've got the desire to produce, to express, to create, but may not be able to. Fortunately, the moon moves out of there. It moves through the 6th house here, 18th and 19th. Health issues maybe, debts, enemies, those sort of unpleasant things may need to be dealt with at that point. More relationship stuff around the 20th and 21st, but don't be too idealistic about that, because you can see here that combination of the moon with Neptune may make you a little bit too expectant, a little bit too, I guess, anticipating of something that may not actually be up to the standard you had hoped for. Nevertheless, there are some nice influences there to your 11th house, So that could in fact be quite a sociable period. Now I've got a couple of other notes here. The 22nd, the Sun here moves into the 12th house. So the 12th house has to do with the past, as we mentioned, but it also has to do with expenses. There it is on the 23rd, actually I'm a day out on that. So this is a 1 month long period where you actually may need a little bit of downtime. This could be a well-earned vacation, and you may push for that in a very, very strong way, given that Mars is also transiting in this area. Now, expenses are not always bad, because you can see that Mars here rules your 8th house, and when the ruler of the 8th house is in the 12th house, that's actually a very nice negative times negative mathematical principle that we apply to planets, indicating an uplift in your finances. Be careful, though, to make sure that what you're spending on is going to give you a good yield, a good return on your investments. Work is strong there around the last few days of the month, with Mercury moving into a slower and slower pace into its stationary situation right towards the end of the month. I think on the 31st, if I'm not mistaken, you'll see that it go. I think so. I may be wrong. Just on the very last day of the month, your ruling planet gets back into gear, ready to move forward. So there's quite a bit of time there where you have to go back and reappraise, think things through. You may have taken a wrong step, but you know what? It's never too late to readjust and make sure that you're doing things in the correct way. Notice also Venus there in that 12th house. Venus, let me have a look here, in my faithful list, 28th. So it's just a couple of days earlier than that. That is a danger signal to expenditure, where you may be overly luxurious. Again, 28, 29, 30, probably best to put a hold on spending and stay away from them all for a while. I hope you join me again next month. Take a look at what we've got going in astrology.com.au, the monthly written version of this that gives you a little bit more scope, the yearly readings, and by all means, as you can see below, subscribe. Please subscribe, and if you've got any questions, by all means, send them to me. I do my best to answer everyone, and that is in view of if you've got tricky little problems, maybe this general reading's not going to cut it for you, contact me and we can organise a personal reading for you based upon your specific time, date and place of birth. I look forward to that. Take care. See you next month. Bye-bye.